Imagine that you're a kid, but you're not in Canada or in Germany. You're born in Ghana. Ghana is actually one of the richer countries in West Africa. It's proud and ambitious, full of potential. But it's still a world apart from the wealth of Europe or North America. You grow up far from the capital, Accra, a bustling city with banks, trade and traffic. But you don't care about any of that. You're just a kid in a small village, where the air smells like charcoal fires and mango trees, and the goats wander through the dusty schoolyard. Your family is not rich, but you've got a roof over your head, you've got food, you've got school, life is alright. But one day you realize something. Some of your classmates, they don't have bus money, sometimes they don't eat lunch, and they're dropping out. And you are not. Why? It's actually because of your older sister, who lives in Europe, and she sends money back home every month, and that makes a huge difference for your family. What your sister sends there, that's called a remittance. Basically, remittances are money sent back home by someone working abroad. And remittances are kind of amazing because in 2022 alone, people around the world sent home 630 billion US dollars to low and middle income countries. So let me repeat that. $630 billion. That's more than 3 times the amount of foreign aid. And still, barely anyone talks about it. Remittances as a concept are amazing because they're not loans. They are also not charity, and they are not tied up into politics or conditions to some global aid bureaucracy. They are really just people helping other people. Take India, for example. 18 million Indians work abroad, and they send back over 125 billion a year. That's basically the GDP of a mid-sized economy, like take Slovakia or Kenya. Or the Philippines. There are 10 million overseas workers. They send back $40 billion a year. That makes up 9% of their entire economy. Most of those people do work in low-paid jobs. They're factory workers, nurses, cleaners. But what they send back, that's a lifeline. Now, the big question here is, if remittances are so massive, why aren't they transforming entire economies? And that's a bit of an economic puzzle. Because on the one hand, it's proven that remittances reduce poverty. But boosting long-term economic growth, that is just not guaranteed. Because the way remittances affect an economy depends on a bunch of things. Like institutions, or how easy it is to start a business, like whether people trust banks, for example, or like whether the country is even stable enough to invest in. So in some countries, people actually use remittances to open shops, buy land, build homes, but in others they don't. Then they use it just to survive, or they even stop working altogether. There is another problem to remittances: brain drain. When people leave the country to earn money, especially educated people, that can be a win for the family, but often this win comes at a cost for the economy. Doctors, engineers, scientists just gone. The impact of that is hard to measure, but it's very real. And in places with rapid population growth, like Nigeria, the pressure is intense. There are too many people, not enough schools, clinics, and jobs. So remittances help individuals, but they don't always help the system. The difference between a country where remittances fuel growth and a country where they don't, it usually comes down to institutional quality. And that makes sense, because if the government is corrupt, if it's hard to get a loan, or if you need like 10 permits just to open a fruit stand, then there's little to no amount of outside money that can fix that. But when the institutions work, remittances can actually supercharge development. So yeah, your sister sending you money from Europe, that's personal, that's real. And the best thing is that it doesn't depend on any state. But if you multiply that story by hundreds of millions of people doing the same thing, suddenly you've got one of the biggest, most overlooked forces in the global economy: remittances. People helping people. And sometimes we can change the world with that.